He thought a minute and he said, "Freireich, what do you do?" I said, "I'm a hematologist, sir." He thought a minute and he said, "Why don't you cure leukemia?"
You look back at leukemia experience in the 20s and 30s, the expectation was the patients were not going to survive. You couldn't use the word cure.
Many cancers were considered fatal diseases, and it was all comfort care and waiting for the patient to die.
And we were able to turn that around.
I think the contribution that Fry and Freireich and I made were that we found that a single institution couldn't realistically provide the kind of critical scientific evidence that people demand today.
They were really the soul of the chemotherapy. Mate was one of those, James Holland, Emil Freireich, and Emil Frey.
And we did the first cooperative group study, which was a cooperation between Jim Holland, who was in Roswell Park, and Fry and Freireich at the NCI.
The first studies we did were comparing the two agents that were known to be effective in childhood leukemia, methotrexate and 6-MP.
If you put two drugs together simultaneously, they in fact have a much better effect than if you gave them sequentially or individually.
And the medical community caught on that we were onto something. So by the second protocol, instead of 2 institutions, we had 13. And Mate, as I recall, was the first chair of the European Cooperative Group Association.
He was certainly an outlier, a man with creative imagination.
George was a man ahead of his time.
So the next step on the road to cure occurred almost concurrently. I knew the doses of 6-MP and methotrexate. I knew that I could add prednisone in full dose. I knew we could add vincristine in full dose. So I said, listen guys, I want to give all 4 drugs at the same time. We called it VAMP. And VAMP revolutionized chemotherapy in the world.
After 18 years, we had cured 50% of the children with acute leukemia, where when we started, virtually none were cured.
Today it's about 80%, but it all uses the same principles, multi-agent combination chemotherapy.
I'm privileged to be able to see a huge amount of things that need to be solved. I may not be able to solve many of them, but the opportunity to make a contribution to humankind is unlimited.
If we can cure leukemia, we'll cure cancer.
Grateful patients who are alive and well makes it a life very easy for an oncologist, because I have several such patients.